I'm Rebecca On with Money and Tech here at Coin Congress in San Francisco, and I'm joined by David Smith, owner of So What's Bitcoin. Thanks for joining me, David.
Thanks, I'm happy to be here.
So, how is your Coin Congress going?
Coin Congress has been great. It's really exciting to come out here and see all the enthusiasm. I live in a smaller town in the Midwest, so I've got to come halfway or all the way across the country to get my Bitcoin fix.
Is this your first time to San Francisco, or have you been here before?
Not in a while. I've been here maybe 10 or 11 years ago.
Is there a strong Bitcoin community where you are?
No, but I'm trying to build one. I'm working on building one. I'm a Michigan State grad, and I'm trying hard to find a Michigan State grad who wants to start up a student club there, because that'd be a really good anchor point for the community. All my friends all know about Bitcoin, and all the tech ones, they would come to the meetups, but it'd be nice to have the university as an anchor point like they have in Ann Arbor. They've got a nice community there, maybe 20 or 30 students there show up to the meetup, and it also draws members from around the community, and I'd like to see that right in my hometown of East Lansing.
Yeah, that would be really nice. And you're especially posed to do that because you just gave a talk, or you just appeared on a panel here at Coin Congress about mass adoption of Bitcoin, and you could implement a lot of the things that you talked about in your own hometown, I'm sure.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's how I got the whole idea for the panel. Is last year I got so excited about Bitcoin, and when I would tell my friends and family, or they would ask me about Bitcoin, and I would tell them about it, and I'd be so excited about it, and I think they're going to want to buy some right now. But then nobody wanted to.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, why am I so excited about it, but they're not? And I just realized I was failing to properly communicate it. I was using a lot of technical language and maybe some political ideas, and they didn't care about that. I was in Chicago this weekend doing a Bitcoin for Beginners workshop, and on the Uber ride to the Chicago airport, I talked to this guy about Bitcoin. He asked why I was in town, and I said I was in town for the Bitcoin conference. And he said, "What's that?" And I told him it was like Bitcoin was like digital money, and it was like email. He could send it anywhere in the world he wanted to, just like he can send an email. And he got so excited because he's got family in Nigeria, and so he said, "Wait a minute, I can send them money?" So in that maybe 3-minute conversation, he wanted to buy Bitcoin, whereas before I could talk for 5 or 10 minutes, so I'm blue in the face, and people are just like, "Oh my gosh, I don't care. I want to talk about something else." But when I explain it in terms that people understand, then he's like, "Wow, this is amazing," and he wants some right now, and he wants to take 20% of his salary in Bitcoin.
That's amazing. Yeah, it can be difficult to explain the concept.
I had to slow him down. I had to say, I had to throw up a little warning signs,
So do you think that is the key to mass adoption, to breaking through that barrier that we've been struggling with of communicating this concept to more people? Is it the communication piece that's really what's struggling?
I think that's one thing.
Using the right terminology?
I think there are two things. So one is education. People can't get excited about Bitcoin if they don't understand Bitcoin.
Right.
But then the other thing is that there's not a lot of practical use cases for Bitcoin today. Like if my dad's going to get into Bitcoin, there's nothing that's going to be useful for him. He doesn't do anything overseas, and the financial system works fine for him. So really the only reason that I would say for him to get into Bitcoin is as an investment vehicle. So, but I expect that's going to be really different and really quickly. Bitcoin has the potential to change everything from reading the Wall Street Journal in the morning to doing a mortgage transaction. And so as these use cases come on board, there will be reasons for people to get excited about it, but that's not today. But I still do think that everybody should explore the technology, because it might be life-changing for them. If they use Bitcoin, a light bulb might go off. They might be the next Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, and there just might be no opportunity like this in our lifetimes where we are in something so early. And if you're successful and you're so early and it's so big, like Bitcoin is promising to be, and it's on track to be bigger than the internet, if you're just caught up in that and you're successful, it's going to be like rocket fuel. You're going to be so much more successful and have so many more opportunities, and it's going to be so much easier than it would be doing any other type of business.
Right, yeah. And speaking of investors and people wanting to get involved in it from a trading perspective, or just being a participant in the community, which makes them basically a stakeholder in the whole community, you have a company called Profit from Bitcoin that gives advice to investors in this space, or tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's an educational product. So I was really successful with my Bitcoin investment last year. I got in at the end of July, early August, and in the first week in December, so in about a 4-month time frame, I'd had a 19x return on my investment, which is pretty unbelievable because I'd done stocks and stuff. So I think my stock portfolio last year I had a 42% return, which I was pretty proud of, but I had a 19 times return on my investment portfolio. And so I had this educational service where it's an information product, and I talk about news, and I help people so they can be successful in understanding the implications of the news. I used to be a developer, so sometimes there can be fear and bad news stories spread, and so I can read right through that and really understand everything about it, and I can help people interpret that news. And a lot of it too is like psychological, because I think people, when they invest in Bitcoin, can be their own worst enemy. I was used to stocks like Apple or Facebook, and they're really stable compared to Bitcoin. And so when I got into Bitcoin, I think maybe within 30 days or something, my investment had gone up 50%. And then one day, because of a news event, it dropped. And so I took a 50% gain and turned it into like a 20% loss in maybe an hour. I had never seen anything move that fast, and it hurt my stomach. And I was like a deer in headlights. I was thinking, should I get out? Should I buy more? I don't know what I should do.
And probably a lot of other investors are in that same boat.
The other investors are in that same boat. I was lucky that I went in with a plan, so I was grounded in that. And even though it was difficult, I stayed through it, and it ended up being great. I didn't make any mistakes. And some people do. I read on the forums, somebody, Bitcoin today trades for about $600, and somebody on the forums has a cost basis around $4,000 because he's been trying to catch the dips and the peaks and the valleys.
Yeah.
So I have a very different investment philosophy, and I try to have my Bitcoins mitigate risks. I try to find places where I can earn interest on them, earn dividends on them, and I'm kind of like a guinea pig for my community members.
Right.
So like right now, I've got some money in Hong Kong, and I'm testing out earning interest to see how that goes. And I tried a service a month ago, and it didn't go so well, and so I saved all my subscribers that pain.
Right.
And now, if this one's successful, or they can see as it progresses how that's working for me.
And are you mostly educating Bitcoin investors or other cryptocurrencies as well?
There is. I'm mainly focused on Bitcoins, but I do have advice on other altcoins. I had some advice on the Swarm launch, and I'm blanking on the name of it, but there was another, the XAP coin. I talked about Ethereum when it launched. Talking about Storage.
Yeah, those are a lot of Bitcoin 2.0 taking the blockchain technology to the next level kind of concepts, which are also really exciting.
Definitely, yeah. So I keep an eye on them, and I tell them what I'm doing. So, like right now I'm looking at Ethereum and Storage, and I'll probably take an investment in Ethereum, and then I let the subscribers know exactly what I'm doing and why I'm doing that, and the risk rewards that I see.
Now, you talked about the news media, news events having a huge impact on investors and their decision-making process and the trading. Do you think that's a responsibility on the part of the news organizations? Are they not fully telling the story, or is it just such a crazy story to tell that investors need to take it with a grain of salt? Or where would you say the responsibility for that fluctuation lies?
Well, I don't think the news is a problem. I just think that Bitcoin, since it moves so fast, it can almost be like a flock of birds, where when people see the price going one way or the other, they don't want to figure out why. They just want to get in or get out. There was a big news event maybe a month or so ago, they announced this auction of a lot of coins.
Right.
And the price just started dropping, and one of my friends messages me and says, "Dave, what should I do?" And I say, I think it's going to be fine. I think the price is going to go above market, and I'm just going to buy and hold. She's like, but what should I do? It's dropping. What if it goes to zero? And I'm like, I've been through this before. I think you should just hold. And then she's like, Dave, I sold. So, maybe that was the right decision for her, because I know it can be tough. It's important to get a good night's sleep. But for me, the right decision was to hold, and I tell my subscribers that. And I was happy when, that was whenever it was announced, maybe a month beforehand or 2 weeks beforehand. I thought it was going to go above market. I thought a VC firm was going to pick it up, and that was pretty much what happened. The price hasn't been disclosed, but it probably did go above market. My outside shot was, I thought maybe like a JP Morgan Chase or somebody like that would actually use that as an opportunity to acquire the Bitcoins early, because they would have been very clean through the process. So I didn't really think that was going to happen, but there was a possibility for sure.
It's interesting that it ended up being Tim Draper who bought all of the Bitcoins, all 30,000.
Yeah.
So interesting outcome. Now, going back to mass adoption, obviously as the community grows, the stability of the price and the volatility and the whole network will increase. How will that change the advice you give to your investors and your clients, and how you think the trading community is going to evolve?
Yeah, so today, some people look at the volatility as a curse. They say, oh, it's crazy, I don't want to be in that. But for me, the volatility is a blessing. if it wasn't for that volatility, if I didn't expect a lot of volatility from Bitcoin, I might have, I don't know, $5 or $100 worth or something like that. And I wouldn't have had a 19x return last year.
Right.
So I think it will change a lot. As it matures, as the risk gets sucked out of the system, as the infrastructure gets built out, and it either delivers or doesn't deliver on all the amazing benefits it promises to humanity, that's going to suck out that opportunity. That risk is going to be gone, and so that reward won't be there. And so I think the product will change. I think it might end up being maybe companies in the space. So maybe I'd be focused on, almost like the internet sector, but I'd be focused maybe on the Bitcoin sector or something like that.
Right, it'll become more of what you're talking about being strong use cases. It'll become more usable in everyday life as opposed to an investment vehicle.
Yes.
Right, okay. That's really interesting. So then going back to the education piece, as part of this goal to increase mass adoption, you recently launched So What's Bitcoin? How recent was that launch?
So the official launch was this week. And the site's really cool. It really works. The design isn't where it needs to be. I've got a lot of feedback that the design needs to be better, but I needed to get it out there because it just helps so many people. If people say I can't get Bitcoin, or I've heard about this Bitcoin thing but I don't know what to do, the site just works for them. There was one guy and he said, I've been trying to explain Bitcoin to my mom and she just doesn't get it, and then she sees the site and then she gets it.
So what different topics do you cover on So What's Bitcoin? How does it break down on the site?
Yeah, so it's like an onion. At the very outer layer, it's digital cash. So if that's all you have time for, or that's all you want to know, then that's it. But then then it's broken down by what type of person you are. So right now the different sections are if you're a business owner, if you're a software developer, or if you're an individual. So if you're an individual, you go in there and you learn about, first that Bitcoin, you might not see how exciting it is. You got to put yourself in the right state of mind. So you think of Alexander Graham Bell in 1875 showing the telephone, talking between two rooms and maybe 20 feet, and telling people everybody on the world is going to be able to talk to each other on the phone. People in that room might think he's crazy. But then if you said we're going to have fax machines and internet and cell phones, everybody in the room would think he's crazy. They'd think, no way. And Bitcoin's that same way, where people talk about just how it can change every financial transaction on the planet. And so people might think, no, that's crazy. But they need to be in the right frame of mind and think like, well, what if? What if? Maybe that's crazy, but what if? And then I go on to explain about how, it's similar to email, where you can just send money anywhere in the world. And just like email, it's fast. It's just right now, and it's cheap, and the various other aspects of Bitcoin.
How detailed into the technology of Bitcoin do you get on So What's Bitcoin?
I pretty much avoid it all except for in the frequently asked questions. So if you go to the frequently asked questions, that's where I might explain what is the blockchain or what is peer-to-peer. There are a lot of other sites that you go way in depth on that stuff, and for people that want it, there are links out on the site to get people out there. But I think for most people, if you're an individual, you want to learn about it from an individual perspective. If you're a business owner, you want to learn how can this benefit my business. And so that's what those sections are designed to do, is tell you what you need to know. And then it's like my iPhone. I don't want to know like what frequency it operates at, or how much storage space it has. I want to know that it can navigate my car around, that I can make phone calls on it, that I can text people. And so that's the approach that I take on So What's Bitcoin, is telling people what it can do rather than what it actually is or how it's built.
Right.
And then that really resonates. And then on the site at the bottom, there's always action steps where they can go off and use it. So like on the individuals, the first thing there is to go to, the website's trybtc.com, I think, and it's a Stanford project where they can actually go and use Bitcoin for free so they can test it out. And then it's got a link like to know how to buy Bitcoin. So then if somebody's like, they can know here are the ways that I can buy Bitcoin. Versus on the business side, then it's more about, how can I accept it, and how can I eliminate fraud and reduce my credit card processing fees and accept customers from anywhere in the world, those kinds of things.
Interesting. So is this So What's Bitcoin launch of yours part of what you envision the goal being of reaching 1 billion users for Bitcoin?
1 billion is small. We want to hit everybody. We want everybody on the planet to have some. But yeah, I think today, the more people that know about it, the more brains that are thinking about it and how it can, I don't know what my dad does in his daily life, and maybe he'll have a great idea driving to work in the morning about how it can benefit his business, or a new idea. Maybe the WhatsApp guys. There's 500 million users of WhatsApp, and if they explore Bitcoin, maybe they think, oh, here's a great use case for 500 million people, and how can improve the human lives.
Well, excellent. I wish you all the best luck in in increasing that mass adoption. I'm sure we're all on the same page here with that. So
Thanks, Rebecca.
it's a joint effort, the whole community. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's been great.
That was David Smith, owner of So What's Bitcoin and Profit from Bitcoin. I'm Rebecca On with Money in Tech. Thanks for watching.